pole sitter in Liam McAdam. Great job. Tim Brook, he's always strong. He'll start alongside him on that front row. Adam Gowans, experienced former Aussie racing car champ, and all the way from England, great job. Cam Walton, he'll start on that second row. There's one of those 15-year-olds outside row 3, Jalen Robotham. There's experienced guys like Ben Grice and Cameron Crick up the front of the field. Brock Feeney, again, 15 years of age. Got some more experienced names like David Cedars. 2 pros to watch out for. The first is Chris Pither. The second will be a little bit further back in the pack. Leanne Tander, part of the 2 factory Toyota drivers here this weekend. Leanne's got some work to do from outside row 14, but she says, I'm a racer, not a qualifier, so expect her to move forward, particularly given the youth that'll be starting around her Toyota 86. It's a big grid, like we mentioned, all the way down to John Gibson in car number 5. And he's driving for Aaron Cameron's team this weekend. Aaron, a fairly young driver on the up as well, who's been racing in the Super Utes. The Vodafone safety car, sometimes needed in the Toyota 86 Racing Series. Hopefully we can get some clean green racing in. But when we're talking about future generation stars trying to prove themselves in front of the supercars team bosses, well, it's kind of like Formula Ford in a way back in the day. Big grids and a lot of young drivers trying to prove that they are going to be the next Rick Kelly or Jamie Whincup or Scott McLaughlin.
And in a series like this, where everybody's in identical equipment, racecraft and driver talent certainly comes to the fore. So this will be exciting to watch. We saw a little bit of slipstreaming going on in the previous race for Aussie racing cars. I expect something very similar going on here. Some terrific battle packs. Let's see who can come out and spray some champagne at the end of this one.
All right, beginning of their 3rd season. And this is an exciting moment for some drivers starting their first ever car race, stepping up out of go-karts. 17 of the drivers on the grid were there for the very first race in 2016 at Winton. There's a number of new drivers. Just look at how big that grid is, all the way back to the last corner of the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. Season 3, round 1, race 1. McAdam versus Brook, and it's go.
And it looks like McAdam's got the jump, timed it perfectly. We know that he's done plenty of these starts in terms of everyone else on the grid, and he has absolutely nailed that. He's going to lead this huge field through turn 1.
In almost identical race cars, to have a 50-metre lead by the time you get down to turn 1 is very impressive. There's a bit of dust. There's been probably quite a bit of action already down to turn 1 this week. You have to say it's probably the most difficult corner to master in the Toyota 86s this weekend.
Certainly looked like it in qualifying, didn't it? Guys just barreling in there very hard with that tailwind, arriving with way more speed on than they would have yesterday. So I'd say the boys have sorted that out, and the girls for that matter have sorted that out today. And they race on. Adam Gowans under pressure here from Walton at Honda Hairpin for the first time.
Englishman waltzes through. That's a great spot made up for P3. Everyone trying to drive with awareness. The category managers have been drilling it into them as well, as to try and know where you are, know where your competitors are, watch your mirrors, be careful. And this has been a nice clean opening lap. Jason Buck-Weiner has come on as the, I guess, series mentor to these young drivers as well.
What was really cool for me to see then, and even a bit crazy for me to get my head around, was that Liam McAdam was going through the hay shed and there was people still coming out of Honda. That is a huge field.
We go on board now with Leanne Tander, trying to make her way up through the field. Her husband will be driving for Gary Rogers Motorsport later today, 250 Ks for the supercars.
A lot of wheel work going on there from Leanne. Just gentle, gentle. In a car like this that doesn't have huge amounts of power in terms of motorsport quantities, you just notice she's doing little fine movements on the steering wheel. That's to reduce the drag or to reduce any speed deficit that comes from her turning that wheel too much. So small amounts of steering. And have a look at the shot. This is exactly what Leanne's seeing. She's seeing 2 cars ahead of her, taking up all the road. Where do I go? Here's that toe that we talk about.
Nice. She's got a great run and heaps of momentum, and she'll get 2 for the price of 1.
And she's going to have braking ability and braking confidence through turn 1 as she hung on the outside.
There's about 3 or 4 of them all trying to scrap for that one tiny piece of racetrack. And that was aggressive stuff from Leanne. She pulled in behind the 2 of them. It was on the outside, like you mentioned.
And that was a great example. 2 cars ahead. They're braking the air. And when she's sitting in behind them, she gets this almost suck-along effect. And then when she went to the outside, that suck-along effect continues, and it's called side draft. So there's 2 elements of toe going on there, and Leanne used them to very, very good effect.
It's a nice move. Nick Carroll at the inside of Ben Grice. slight contact door to door. And Jalen Robotham in the 29, one of those 15-year-olds that we speak of. He's got up to 4th position and ahead of Adam Gowans, a former national class champion. Some replays of the start. I guess the real thing there, and he was just Liam McAdam in another world.
Yeah, he was. Very clear run for him down into turn 1. And when you're the pole man and you get such a good start like that, speaking of good starts, it was an absolute cracker for Leanne.
Good reactions to miss the stalled car in front of her.
Her jump was really, really good, but where she lost some momentum there was having to avoid the stalled car ahead of her, and it has hurt her on the run down to turn 1. As I was saying with Liam McAdam, when you get a jump like that and you're the pole man and you know you've cleared the guy beside you, you're just really focusing on arriving at turn 1, braking as late as you can and carrying that momentum, because you know he's got half-second lead at the moment, but 2.5 tenths of that was done in that first corner, and it's just enough to give you some breathing space. Here's these battle packs we were talking about, or I mentioned at the start of the race. We're just going to see this all weekend here. Big, fast flowing circuit. Brock Feeney on the outside. Lost a couple of spots from his qualifying position. Not a lot of race experience for Toyota 86, but does have quite a lot of racing experience for a 15-year-old. Lots of karting, very well credentialed.
And he'll learn a lot running with Ben Grice and Luke King, two of the most experienced drivers in the Toyota 86 Racing Championship. And the car behind him is the championship-winning car in the hands of Luke King. He's got Actron Air as sponsors this weekend, running in the car that Jimmy Vernon drove so successfully last season, particularly here at Phillip Island, with that breakthrough victory.
On board with Chris Pither, won last round's Dunlop Super 2 event down in Tasmania. Has a lot of history racing, not only in Australian V8 utes, but also New Zealand V8 utes. And I had a chat with him on Thursday, on what's effectively a lay day for us here, pretty quiet. Got the opportunity to chat with him and see what his thoughts were on racing the Toyota 86 and working with some of these young kids this weekend. He said he was really looking forward to getting back in a car that was similar to his utes. A little bit of tyre squeal going on there from Chris.
Busy stuff. Further back, this is behind where these drivers are. We go back to Leanne Tander. So Pither's teammate to one Tander this week, and likely sharing with another at Bathurst. The back of this car is starting to peel off. The rear bar coming loose. For Baxter Smith, he was second quickest in the opening practice session, has done quite a bit of testing at Phillip Island so far this year. And Cameron Vandendung was testing his improved production car that weekend as well, and paid close attention to how Kane Baxter Smith was going throughout the weekend. This is a fairly hearty battle pack. A lot of young stars, some of them teenagers.
They sound cool coming down through turn 1 there, don't they? Just filing through car after car. 39 car grid.
It's huge.
Very, very healthy. And it's great to see the support that Toyota are putting behind this category, and really just implementing some facilities to get young kids in. You know, we talk about Chris Pither and Leanne Tander being in there from a mentoring point of view.
He's got one of those mentors right now
on Pither,
fighting with a 15-year-old. Pither actually got him earlier in the lap, and Feeney got him back at turn 4. This is good stuff.
Mentor and protege duking it out.
How good is this for a 15-year-old to be racing door-to-door with a guy like Chris Pither? And Pither's clean, giving him just enough room. Can they go side by side through the hay shed?
Will they give it a crack? Hard on the throttle there for Pither.
Great racing.
He has. He's held on to it.
Up the inside at Lukey Heights. They barely even touch. Great stuff. And they'll still be side by side under brakes at turn 10. Feeney will get that spot finally cleared. And that's great respect shown from both of those two.
It sure is. That was very, very good racing. Particularly for Brock Feeney there. Chris Pither, we know he's done heaps of racing, but for Feeney to have the, I guess, the presence of mind and the awareness that he just showed there for a 15-year-old is unbelievable.
And keep in mind, he's coming out of kart, so the whole idea of having mirrors, doors, roofs, it's all new to him. He's doing a great job. Further back in the pack, bit going on here at turn 4, and that, I imagine, is how the left rear bar got displaced on Kane Baxter-Smith's car.
Pretty lucky with how that bar has been displaced because it's hanging out the back of the center of the car. Let's have a look at this. I got it. We've seen a lot of that this weekend, haven't we?
Good catch from Zane Mawson. This is that replay of these two going side by side through turn one. Good catch from Chris Pither.
So this effectively went on for two-thirds of the lap.
Yeah, just about. Awesome. Great experience. It's still on. Version 3 of this argument. Jake Burton is going to be the guy that they're ganging up on down here under brakes. Actually, it's Jake Klein in the second of the Aussie Driver Search entries. What a pack.
And that was a smart move there by Feeney. Pither tried to go the outside. Hard to get that done at Honda. And Feeney just said, thank you. I'll take both Klein's and Pither's spot. And he's pretty familiar with running around the outside there. So I think he's going to hang on to that spot.
Klein with two wheels up on the curbs. They try and go side by side through here. Not a huge amount of air on these cars. They're pretty much road standard with their bodywork. All the trickery and the motorsport elements of these cars lie underneath the skin as Pither again goes side by side with Feeney. Feeney sends one to the inside of Dylan Thomas and gets him. Great move under brakes. Pither will follow him through. Thomas, a two-time Porsche Carrera Cup race winner here in the Pro-Ams, gets picked off by a couple, and Wilkins will look to the inside at turn 12. Not quite.
You're always compromised when you're having to turn in from the inside of the track there. Pretty high-speed corner, and unfortunately, Wilkins just had to get out of the throttle. Otherwise, they would have made contact. And these guys go back at it again. Third lap in a row.
Oh, look at the rear dancing around for Brock Feeney. Pither with a heap of mid-corner momentum. Feeney's got the line and just jams on the brakes to make sure that Pither can't get up the inside through the southern loop.
I can assure you that when we see the rear of the car dancing around like that from our onboard shots, that will feel huge for Brock Feeney in there. He will know that the car's moving around, sliding, trying to catch it.
That's Walton running wide, and these guys are all fighting over the top 3 spots. Actually make that the top 2 spots. Jalen Robotham, this is an unbelievable debut. Here he is fighting for a podium. He's 15 years of age. Actually, you're probably going to sing the praises of Cam Walton here as well. He's also a rookie. He came to this venue last year just to have a look, decided, I will have a crack at this, moved to Australia, living in Sydney, all the way from the UK, and it's paying dividends here. He's fighting inside the top 5.
Keep giving me a little light bulb moment here, mate. Every time you talk about the age of these guys, like I'm watching the racing here and going, surely these guys have been doing it for years on years, but they haven't. And that's the crazy bit about watching it, is that the racing is really fair. It's great door-to-door banging going on, but nobody's getting pushed off the road. There's respect being given. And that comes under Toyota actually give all the drivers when they enter a code of contact and conduct, not contact.
Yeah, the code of anti-contact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a great initiative. I spoke earlier about some of the, I guess, the foresight that Toyota have had in making this racing good, and that's one of them, and we're seeing the fruits of that here.
Look at this Dylan Thomas pushing Talladega style Brock Feeney down the main straight. We tag on with Pither, who wants to go 4 wide at turn 1. How will this transpire? He might have just pulled off a master stroke down there and got 3 in 1 corner. A triple move for Chris Pither, Lewis Hamilton style.
This is going to continue though. It's going to go on. We've seen the moves be put on, and lap after lap, and Pither involved in it, and he's got huge amounts of experience, but he just can't shake these young guys.
The gauntlet has been thrown down. The challenge is there for anyone this weekend in any category to produce a better overtaking move than what Chris Pither just gave us down the front straight as he passed 3 cars in 100 metres. Vanna goes sideways at turn 4. It's on here. He's side by side with his teammate Dave Cedars. And how about this for a pack?
We're still 4 wide.
All the way down to about 17th. They're scrapping. This is great stuff at Siberia. A picture-perfect day at the island. First race of the year, and it's been a beauty.
Finally, Pither's given himself some racing room, but look who's behind him. Feeney trying to follow him, and then this hungry pack. Let's have a look at this.
Wait for Pither to emerge to the left. There he goes.
Shows his face. He's got momentum on his side from that toe. 4 wide.
Brilliant.
Wilkins was trying to make it 5.
Gets Vanna, Thomas and Feeney all in the one move. Killer stuff from Chris Pither. He came into the front straight 16th. He went into turn 1 13th. It's still going on. It's started to disperse a little bit. A few guys carrying a few war wounds from what's been a great battle. Oh, mischange for Pither, and instantly knows he's vulnerable. Looks in his mirrors. He cannot afford those tiny errors in this category.
Well, that didn't hurt him that much, given that he had a fair misshift. I'm surprised by that. You could see him straight away, couldn't you? Look up in the mirror and go, okay, oh, who's coming at me?
Meanwhile, further around, it's Nick Carroll and Adam Gowans, the Tasmanian, and car number 2. They'll go side by side through Stoner Corner, turn 3. Nothing in it between these two. Who's the bravest under brakes? Who can go the latest? Trent Grubel behind them. He's having a nice calm race so far.
Pretty even in the braking area there, but Carroll just had the inside line at the hairpin.
Up the front, Liam McAdam has driven cleanly. Tim Brook has set the quickest lap of the race. He sits 3rd at the moment behind Jalen Robotham. 2nd on debut in this category will be seriously impressive if he can hang on for this last half a lap. Walton, probably the only driver here who can make up a spot. That'll be for 3rd. This will be his chance to do it potentially under brakes at turn 10. Will he go for it? He does, but Brook says no. Blocks him off. That's fair and legal on the last lap of a race.
Super defensive there for Brook.
Walton, I should say, outrun him to the start-finish line. Meanwhile, around the corner, here comes the Phil Gilbert Motor Group Parts entry, 97, Liam McAdam, getting it done. He's a mechanical engineering student, software coder, as well as a race car driver, and he wins the first race of the season, and the battle between Walton and Brook goes all the way to the finish line. We'll give that one to Brook by just 29 thousandths of a second. Awesome first race of the year. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come in 2018. Very enjoyable, particularly some of the mid-pack scrambles outside the top 10. This is what we're talking about. 8 green flag laps, safety car free, McAdam gets the win.
And with the grid this size, we're going to have to wait another minute and a half for everybody to come around and take the checkered flag. But that racing was really cool. Look at that. Chris Pither wiping the sweat away. So he's been working pretty hard behind the wheel. Got guys still taking the checkered flag.
McAdam's going to be back having a drink out of the esky by the time the field finishes this race. We'll try and wrap it up for you. So big tick, Liam McAdam, well done. But Jalen Robotham, in essentially one of his first car races, he has a little bit of single make experience before, but to finish second for a 15-year-old, wow.
That is an absolutely outstanding effort. So Jalen Robotham, hats off to you, mate. Pat on the back. You should take plenty of confidence into the rest of the year off the back of that.
Even outside the top 15, there's some pretty experienced names. I'm looking at David Cedars in particular, a former V8U champion, all the way right down across to Zane Morse, who ran off down there at turn 4, and that's unfortunate for the former Cam's Joko Formula 4 driver.